Well, welcome everyone to another Workshop Wednesday, the blurry Dan version of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it's learning QuickBooks your way. And today is our third chapter of the Intuit Accountant Suite. And we're going to be focusing on the books close portion of that, because this is one of those things that they talked about at Intuit Connect that will have a fee associated with it. And right on cue, Intuit has created, or has actually announced, what those fees actually are. So that's the first thing that we want to do, is talk about those fees, because what occurred, like just kind of like the timeline of kind of catching you up to today, right?
Yeah, they released that today.
They announced it Monday or Friday.
Okay.
I think Friday. Friday, as far as the pricing is concerned, right? So they announced that QBOA, QuickBooks Online Accountant, is being transitioned to Intuit Accountant Suite, and as of the Intuit Connect, you were able to opt in. You were click happy and opted in early. but as of Intuit Connect, you could opt in to the Intuit Accountant Suite, and there were two flavors, and we talked about those on a prior workshop. So you've got Core and Accelerate.
Yeah.
And for the undisclosed future at that time, back in October of 2025, they were in beta and they were free. Right? They were free to use, right? And you could use and set up books close, and you could use and set up clients insights, which we're going to talk about client insights next week. But for they were during this period of October 2020, the end of October 2025 until May 1st, 2026, they are evaluating the, gathering feedback, getting the input from people that use it, and trying to find the right price point for these paid for features, right?
Yeah,
So
I have to tell you though, Dan, I don't like that they're going to be charging anything extra for books closed, because, and maybe some of the other things that'll be in Core and Accelerate, because on the one hand, I do appreciate the fact that there will be a paid part of it, really to sort of weed out the people that aren't serious about using it for clients, if they were kind of hacking away to get a free instance on QuickBooks Online. But the fact that that's thinking about, I don't know, we already pay a lot. What? Not we, but clients. Actually, never mind. You wouldn't be paying for IAS. So really, we would just be paying for the books closed. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think that's
very
part
brain dead today.
Well, you bring up a good point, because during, at this juncture, right? The cost, right? It's like from, well, let's see, QBOA started in 2013, right? And at that genesis of QBOA, it was a client dashboard, right? And that client dashboard was just a way to get to your clients that are using QBO, right?
Yeah.
At that point, from those humble beginnings of that, it has notably, changed a lot, right? And there's been a lot of new things that have been added, and it's not just the accountant features that you have inside of your client's books when you are listed as the accountant. Now they are transitioning some of the firm-based activities that
right.
Accounting firms do into this Intuit Accountant Suite. And coming from history, right? Like everything that initially, 2013, your books wasn't even a thing, right? They didn't
Right.
even have
Yeah.
your books being part of that, right? So they have given, to Intuit's credit, they have given to accountants a lot of free stuff, right?
Yeah, they
And
have. And
you get.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, I mean, sometimes us accountants aren't always the best at doing books, although I
The
always keep
cobbler's
up.
shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I always keep up with the bank feeds, but I'm not the best at keeping up with reconciliations. But I will say a lot of these were up to this point really found an external app. And that was really a
Right.
big part of ever since I joined the Intuit world. External apps were always such a big part of using QuickBooks Online. And so it
Hmm.
feels like they kind of want to back away from that a little bit. And they basically what they're saying is, hey, we understand that what I was gonna say is it's almost like a feature of or a byproduct of competition, right? Because as all of these apps get better and better and better, we see them get better and better very rapidly.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you can do this, and then you can do this, and then, oh, by the way, firm, you can use this for your firm. And it's like over the past several
Yeah.
years, that's what I've been doing. And so I've kind of gotten accustomed to using this app, but then I can use it for my firm. So it seems like Intuit has really jumped onto that. And um, it's always when you're working on a lot of different clients' books and your own, for me, it's easy to get a little confused on wait, from what perspective am I thinking of? And that's why I got confused about client paying for their thing. We don't pay for it. But I do I am very, and I know we can talk about this a little bit later, but I am very conscious about what I'm paying for as a firm. And like I
Hmm.
told you before, I don't mind paying for the expensive part of, okay, I'm a serious
Right.
pro advisor, so I'm willing to pay that nominal fee. So I have a
Right.
legit or verified, I guess, for lack of a better term, QuickBooks account. But I don't want you to
Yeah.
start nickel and diming me for these things that I can kind of get from somewhere else.
Yeah. And that's the period of time that we're in today, right?
Yeah.
As these new features, like, and we'll talk about the books close and what you can do in Intuit Enterprise Suite, and how that stacks up against something that maybe you as a firm owner have brought into your own practice
Yeah.
as a tool to use. And now you're comparing, okay, well, is this worth uh, switching and changing my workflows that I've already established somewhere else into QuickBooks Online? And
Yeah. That's a really, really
this is the
big.
yeah, and this is the pendulum that is going to continue to swing as Intuit either uh, develops its own solutions or acquires and incorporates those solutions into QuickBooks Online natively. And then
Yeah. Because
you
don't
know
forget,
you're
a
going to be
lot of,
stacking that up against something else that feeds into, or that you've already had to incorporate, and maybe you're paying for something else on top of that, right? What were you
yeah,
saying?
because a lot of this is sort of stemmed from, okay, did I have, well, I guess, like, let's rewind. Like, was this available in QuickBooks Online to do? No. Okay, well, I'm sort of forced to go get it from somewhere else if I want something
Yeah.
that's going to maybe do it faster and more effectively. And so then if you incorporate it into your workflow, and then you have a team, and the team is doing that, right? So it's
Right.
not always easy to bring it back to something else. It really boils, for me,
Yeah.
it's going to boil down to what the cost is, because if it does it more effectively and the cost is reasonable, then that I would think would be
Right.
something that would move the needle. Because remember, a lot of these other apps, I mean, as an integration gal, these things integrate. I know you hate this word, seamlessly, but it really does. It
Seamlessly.
depends on which one we're
I knew
talking
what you were
about.
going to say.
Yeah. but for example, we can get into the example of Double, formerly Keeper, when we talk about books
Yeah.
closed. It's like you're in QBO. They've developed that so fantastically, that instant update, that if it doesn't work better than that, why would I switch if I'm going to have to pay?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that will make for a good, an additional workshop, right? Where we actually, kind of side by side compare Double
Yeah,
and
I would
books
love to
closed
do that.
and
Yeah,
see,
because we're
is it worth it?
Ferment Not Deposited. We typically, and this is actually a really interesting topic, because when I first started out, I know that there were a lot of people that really were rah into it, and they really wanted to only use Intuit products. And as a matter of fact, when I went to Scaling New Heights for my first couple of years, there were even a few different classes that you could take on how to run your firm only using Intuit Profit. And, using two sheets and using this and using that, and basically not ever branching out and using anything externally. Well, then I met, a whole bunch of other people that were like, oh, no. You want to use all these other external tools because it does everything so much better. And so I really settled on kind of somewhere right in the middle, but, probably more leaning toward external app, and not as many QuickBooks app, but relying on like the core functionality of QBO big time. And the fact that, that it's got, strong integration ability, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So for me, the question boils down to, will they kick other apps out? That's what I want to know. It's never going to be, okay, we're going to voluntarily start using all of these QB built-in apps. People like me aren't going to do that and say that, even if it boils down to money. It's going to be, have they disallowed this, and am I forced to?
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever come to that, because they have built their entire QuickBooks ecosystem on their API, right? And that was always the case. Is that, we'll do what we'll do inside of QuickBooks Online or QBOA, or whatever the product happens to be. And then for some of the specialized workflows that we don't do well, or we do kind of the shallow end of the pool, there's other apps for that, right? And the bill pay solution is a prime example of that. So we'll just kind of divert for a little bit to bring this back to Intuit Enterprise, or Intuit Accountant Suite, right? When QuickBooks Online first began, there was no way to send payments to your suppliers or vendors from QuickBooks Online, right? So therein lies the example. It doesn't do the function at all, right? So there's, QuickBooks is either faced with a choice of partner with someone else, or allow other people to be able to do the things that they do, or create their own solution to do that, right? So it takes time to to set to create your own solution and develop your own solution. So, and this is pretty standard operating procedure for Intuit, is that, hey, there's already an ecosystem available, an API, and there's these solutions that already do that. So now let's look at all of those solutions that are out there, and maybe approach one to import, to basically integrate that solution into the QuickBooks ecosystem, so it appears as if you're never leaving QuickBooks Online, right? And that first iteration was with Bill.com. Right? So they worked with Bill, and then Bill created a scaled down version of Bill.com just for QuickBooks Online bill payment, and then incorporated that into QuickBooks. That had a varying level of success, right? So it's, some people loved it, accountants hated it because there was some permissions issues for accountant users and those types of things. So, but it worked. It allowed people to pay bills from within QuickBooks Online without going to some other app to be able to do that, right? And
Yep.
then comes Melio, right? So then they kicked Bill.com out of the picture, said, "Get out of my QuickBooks," and then replace that with Melio, which, if you didn't know you were using Melio, you didn't know you were using Melio, right? So the whole bill payment process inside of, Melio actually had a Melio purple and a Melio green is
Yeah,
what
that
they
was a little
called it, right?
confusing
So
though.
exactly. So you could go outside of QuickBooks into Melio Purple and do your things outside of there if you wanted to, if you needed a
Yeah.
little bit more than what Melio Green would allow you to do, from within side of QuickBooks. But if you didn't know you were using Melio to pay your bills with the QuickBooks Bill Pay, then you didn't know, right? I mean, it was that deeply integrated
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
never left. You didn't, if you didn't have to, you never needed to leave
Yeah.
QuickBooks in order to schedule and pay your bills through the what was powered by Melio. So then, finally, years later, QuickBooks Bill Pay service comes into play, and so they're like, "All right, Melio, thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate your integration, but we got it from here," right? And so, so now the QuickBooks Bill Pay solution is the only one that you can deeply integrate inside of your QuickBooks Online without going anywhere else outside of QuickBooks, right? So
Yeah. I mean, and
that
there's
is,
I was just gonna say there's
go ahead.
like that, positives and negatives to that. I like the idea of like if you've got a team and then maybe they're assigned to bill pay, then they don't have to go outside of QuickBooks and the payment gets recorded in the way that you want. And, you're not necessarily having to
Right,
search elsewhere for payments to match up to bills. And so there's a lot of good things about it.
right.
I don't, anyway, go ahead.
So here we are. So let's, so now let's draw that timeline, or that evolution of an integration in here in Intuit Enterprise Accountant Suite. See,
Yeah.
I can't keep the name straight sometimes.
Well,
So
what I
Intuit
like,
Accountant
what I
Suite.
have to say is, the way that I see it is that Intuit can, that, that the opportunities are endless. There's a million zillion different things that Intuit can say. Oh, accounts are using this. Let's put this in here. Oh, that would be
Mhm.
neat. Let's add this. And so it really, the possibilities are endless. The fact that they're
Yeah.
focusing on this is great because it can get pricey. And that's really
Mhm.
my only drawback about using an external tool such as the close,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you'll show. But for me, it boils down to that. I would love to be able to use something internally if it weren't a pain to switch my
Right.
team to. So for me, price and team switching are the biggest issues.
Right. And you might not be their ideal candidate, right, for this process at this point in time, because
Right. It might be for
here's what's
solopreneurs. Yeah.
well, not necessarily the solopreneurs, but people who are new to Intuit Accountant Suite aren't going to know any different, right? So
Oh,
unless,
true.
as
True.
you
Yeah.
as if you are starting your virtual bookkeeping, if you are starting Net Deposited today and going into Intuit Accountant Suite, you don't know anything prior to that, right? So you don't have
Yeah.
that history, that baggage, that, okay, well, I've already got another app that does this sort of thing.
Yeah. That's a really
But
good point.
you are
And
not
I would, if
alone.
I were new to it, I would opt to use all the
Right,
bells and whistles. I would. I'd be like, oh, this is great. And then
right.
I wouldn't even look elsewhere for it.
Right. So all of these features, like, and I talk to a lot of, new to the franchise, new to QuickBooks people who are like, okay, well, I need to pay bills, so I'm going to use the QuickBooks Bill Pay service, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
know that there's not that there's other options out there, right? Because they're going to
Yeah,
be
that's a really good
presented
point because there's
with,
so many things that I thought when I first started that I thought I had to do because
right,
I just had to. And it takes a while
right,
to kind of figure out that you don't have to, but I get that initial thinking. Yeah.
right. So on one side of the picture, there's new accountants, new virtual bookkeepers, new practitioners who are
Hmm.
going into QuickBooks Online Accountant for the first time, and now it's Intuit Enterprise Suite, and
Yeah.
they're given this choice of which flavor. Is it Core or is Accelerate? Okay, well, here's what I get for Core or Accelerate. All right. Well, I need to do some books close stuff. Oh, there's a books close option. I'll see what that's all about, right? And they don't know anything about Double or Keeper or
Yeah.
Financial Sense or any of the other practice management apps that are out there that do have already been doing these things for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
So let's first talk let's first talk about the pricing.
Yeah.
So
I was just
let
going to ask, show
me
me the pricing.
let, show me the money, right? Where is my option? Okay, this studio sometimes work. All right, so let's make this a little bigger so we can see. Move this over here. Okay, so we talked about that there are two options: Core and Accelerate, right? And one says free, and the other says $0 a month, which equates to free to me, but there's an asterisk there, right? It's free right now for Intuit Accountant Suite Accelerate until May 1st of 2026, which then is going to be starting at 149 a month, right? So
Okay.
new QBOA, existing QuickBooks Online Accountant users who ultimately at some point before December of 2026 need to opt in and choose one of these choices. If you are coming from QuickBooks Online Accountant and all of the things that you are currently enjoying that are free, the Your Books, the Online Payroll Elite, the QuickBooks Time Elite, and the Elite Bill Pay service, they are still free in Intuit Accountant Suite, regardless of which one you choose, right? So you're not going to be
For
paying
now.
for your firm books. You're not going to be paying for uh, the any of those services, and they have not made any statements to say that those fees or those services are going to have a cost to them. But to your point,
Yeah. But for now.
they could change that. They could change that position at any time, right? And thinking back to the genesis of the Pro Advisor program, there always was a fee associated with the Pro Advisor program until QBOA came into the picture. And then there's this whole idea of here's all the stuff that you get for free.
Yes.
Um, so now we're coming, they're kind of needing to backpedal some of that, and to their point, they are introducing fees for the accountants on the new things that they're adding rather than the existing things that people are already enjoying, right? So we may find, 5-10 years from now that, they're going to start charging for the yearbooks or whatever, but that is not today. And that's not
Yeah.
anytime in the near future. So everything, the core functionality of Core is free, right? You get as we mentioned in the navigation workshop last week, you've got the customizable home and alerts and widgets, this Intuit Intelligence chat, which will ultimately be one of those ask anything chat GPT types of search boxes inside of your books, the Intuit AI, the chart of accounts templates, role-based access and controls, which if you ever see Reebok or Arbok, that's what they're talking about. I've seen like the acronym, like what is RBAC? It's role-based access and controls. You've got the My Menu, the Customer Hub, which is incorporations and integrations with Mailchimp as a CRM, and those types of things being incorporated into the platform. You've got your. Did I lose?
No,
Am I
you're
lost?
no, still
Am
there,
I
but
here?
you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I just said, oops, you're reconnecting. And then that training manager dashboard that we talked about last time. So all of those features, including the yearbooks, the payroll, the QB time, and the elite bill pay service are still free, right? So there's no charge for doing that. The only potential fee that is going to be within core is books close, because you can add or opt into books close into core without having to have the Intuit Accountant Suite Accelerate platform, which, as we can now see, is going to start at $149 for just the platform fee. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot. I
And
was going to
then,
say, I like the fact that you can a la carte books close if
yeah,
you need. What about
yeah.
books review? Is that still a thing?
Yes, and we'll talk about the difference between what the heck is the difference between books close and books review as we get into the books close. But then, so with Accelerate, then you have your core features plus client insights, which we'll talk about next week. Team groups, being able to group your teams, and then this AI powered anomaly detection, and some of the things that they kind of teased up, which we'll talk about the following week, is things for like, capacity planning, right? So here we are in the throes. What are we? 3 days away from the end of the end of tax 1099 season, right? Where things need to be out of sent for filing, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you need some extra help in order to do that for your clients, right? So this will, or somebody takes a vacation in the middle of a busy season or a spike in workflows, and you need to be able to plan accordingly for that. That's some of the features that are going to be in the Accelerate side of things, where you could either leverage maybe an Intuit service to be able to bring on some temporary staff and then let them go, after that service is over, or at least to plan for those types of things, because you have those other things already with the elite time and those types of things that are already baked in to your platform, right?
Yeah,
So
it's neat. It's like
those are
going from just providing accounting software to accounting firm software.
exactly right. And so to your point, right, you were using QBOA up until this point for
Mm-hmm.
several years, and these features like books close was not even a twinkle in Sasan's eye at that
Well, Books
point, right?
Close
So
has been
you,
there. No, Books Close wasn't there. Book Review had been there for quite some
yeah,
time, and I did use it when I was still by myself.
right, right,
But
and
it's
those,
hard because like out there in the app landscape, there's some stuff that works a lot better, when you're dealing with a team. And so I think it's great that Intuit is adding all of these features and, they're essentially competing. And
yeah,
I'm excited to see like where it eventually ends up going. It kind of seems like they're adding on, this cost to be able to use it. So it's going to be, that's going to be for me a hard sell.
right, yeah. And right, and just keep in mind that there are two demographics, right? There are new users to QBOA,
Yeah.
Intuit Accountant Suite, and then there are people like you or existing
Yeah.
users that are coming from QBOA into Intuit
Yeah, they
Enterprise Suite. So you have
understand
all
that
that history.
yeah, they understand that me and my ilk are a hard nut to crack.
Right.
We're not going to
Right.
get those
So
ones.
so books close, which is as they speak to it, like on the In the Know webinars that they do, weekly or monthly. When they talk about books close, they refer to it as an advanced books review, right? So
Right.
it's got some features, and then we'll look at them. Um, some similarities with books review, which is an accountant feature inside of a client, but books close is an accountant feature inside of the firm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, it's one of those things that we were talking about with the bill pay feature. If you don't know that you're using books close, you wouldn't know that you're using books close, right? Because you're inside of the firm. You're not needing to go into your client in order to see that utility, right? And
Yeah.
that was the complaint or the feedback, is that, oh, this books review tool is kind of cool, but I got to go into each client,
Right.
and I don't have any visibility into how that books close or books review process is going, unless I go into, if you're a firm owner, which you are, and you have delegated books close tasks to several clients, then you can't tell who's working on what unless you go into each client and check up on it
Right.
yourself, right? So that is what they're driving for here, to be able to have a more of a bird's eye view of the books close, books review process, but also do a lot of the tasks within Intuit Accountant Suite without going into each
Yeah,
individual
which is
client.
great. I mean, that's what you want.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're doing what
The book.
is appropriate, I feel like. If I could
Yeah.
put a list together of things I would need to have, that's the way I would want it.
All right. So the books close is the only thing that can be in core or into the accelerate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the features that could be in either one, right? So
Yes.
it does get a little complicated when you see this Intuit Accountant Suite core free, and then you end up having a cost associated with that because you are opting into the books close, which has a fee. Now, what's that fee? Books Close is available at no additional cost through the beta program, so up until May 1st of 2026. You will be billed $8 per onboarded client per month up to 50 clients, or $6 per onboarded client per month for over 50 clients. Now,
That
I
sounds
would
about right.
assume, yeah, I would assume
It's not all that
that,
different than what some of the apps are charging. It seems,
yeah,
around that.
yeah. So you coming from the QBOA plus double or keeper, right?
Yeah.
World, right? That pretty much is in alignment with what you're paying today, per client, because that's double's business model, right? Just pay for each client that
Yeah.
that you have
Yeah.
connected to
Each
uh,
client
to to their
that you
books,
have connected. Yeah,
right?
exactly. Per month.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Um,
So
I don't
that
know if
sounds
they
about
have.
right. So when I like, again, my question would be like, can I do all of the same things? And if I
Yeah,
can, that's less than what double charges.
exactly. So now let's go into and take a look at the books close function, right? So that is going to be under the service delivery section inside of uh, Intuit Accountant Suite. You'll see the books close area and then the overview. So looking at the overview, you up in the upper right, you've got the books close settings. Creating a close is a button here, and then onboarding a close client. So we just talked about the fee is going to be based off of the number of onboarded closed clients or closing clients that you want to have as part of this, right? So I may have 100 clients on my client list. I'm only going to get a charge for the ones that I have put here, right? And for the screen that we're looking at, there are 2 clients on my books close overview. So if I wait and do nothing, which I potentially could have I could do, right? I may forget that I have these 2 for just uh, display purposes. If I wait until May 1st and do nothing, I'm going to get charged $16 a month just because these 2 are sitting on my books close overview page. So I'm going to have to get them off, which is going to be
Don't
under my
forget.
action. Oh, wait, I don't have the option to get rid of them. Where?
Oh my gosh,
I
really?
have my options are open, create the open, go to QuickBooks, or not, right? Like I'm going to have, all right. So that's going to be another thing. How am I going to,
maybe their
is this
policy
a one-way
is
ticket?
once you add them, that's it.
Right.
You're stuck.
It's kind of like the tire tracks at the garage, right? You can go over them real easy, but coming back is severe tire damage. So let's first go into the where'd you go? The books closed settings, right? So you have some options here. First is there's 2 tabs. There's the templates and preferences. First, the templates is your default books closed tasks, right? So your options there are either to view it or to make a copy, right? So if I view it, here are the things that are part of that books close, right? And we've got several sections here. I'll just collapse them to show. There we go. So we've got pre-close. Pre-close is going to have, in this particular case is, before you actually do a, closing of your client's books, you want to make sure that all transactions on the bank feed are coded, right? It makes sense. And then gather all the relevant documents and statements, right? So all the prep work that you would do before you actually run into some of these things, right? You can define the date of your close to be due, but then you've got other tasks that you can add as well. And then account reconciliation, there's not much that you can do in there, right? Because once you create a close, you can add or remove client accounts as far as what you're reconciling. This is one of the cool things about books close because when you're reconciling your clients' accounts, you have to go into their QuickBooks in order to do that. This is one of those things that you're going to be able to do inside of Intuit Accountant Suite without going into your client, right? Being able to reconcile their accounts. And as they continue to enhance this, you will continue to have more things that you can do without going into the client's
Wait a minute. You mean on this widget here, I can go in and reconcile them, or I can just mark them reconciled?
I can go in and do the full bank reconciliation right here without leaving and going into my client's books.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. So it then brings, transaction review.
The subledger and the reconciliation thing.
Yeah, it's basically just the screen that you see inside of the reconciliation screen inside of the client, but you'll see it inside of Intuit Accountant Suite without going into the client, right? So those same screens, as if you're inside of your client, but you're inside of the firm, Intuit Accountant Suite, right? Okay. So then you've got transaction review, which these are general areas. You've got uncategorized transactions, transactions without payees, transactions coded to a parent account, expenses and bills without attachments over a certain dollar amount, transactions greater than a certain dollar amount, transactions added by bank rule. This is a huge one, right? Because if you've got transactions that were automatically added, you might want to make sure that those rules are set up right and that they're coded properly. Transactions auto posted by AI coming soon, right? So that's another things that basically those 2 kinds of transactions are transactions that you don't have any insight into because they automatically got added into the books, right? Things that are sitting in undeposited funds, unapplied payments, big thing
Yeah.
there. Uncleared transactions over a certain amount of days. Expense inconsistencies, that's a feature coming soon. Transactions without a class or location. So there's some things to keep in mind and doing. Class inconsistency, that's a coming soon feature. But if you've got transactions to the same payee and same account that are different classes, you might want to
Yeah.
review that. And expenses without a customer or project, transactions manually created, right? So these are the 15 areas of transaction review that will be good, to review before closing the books, right?
Those are the key ones.
Pay,
I mean, that's very
yeah,
comprehensive.
yeah. Payee entity review is all coming soon, right? So
Okay.
this is things, new vendors, right? So anything
Yeah.
that's a new vendor, you might want to review. W-9, 1099 management. This is poor timing of this
Yeah.
coming soon on the 28th of
Yeah.
January.
That would have been nice
Um,
to have that before.
probably should have, it would have been nice to have that January 1st,
Yeah.
but I digress. New customers, right, coming soon, and then newly added accounts. So the customers, the vendors, and accounts that have been added, because you might want to get notified when somebody does any of those three things, right? Like, why are you adding this new account? I mean, this is you're encroaching on my jam here,
Mm-hmm.
right? As your accountant, right? And then final review, you've got your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, your AP and AR aging reports. And then there are additional items of review and clean up the bank feed rules, because heck, you've noticed there were a whole bunch that were added by the bank rules from your transaction review. And then close the books to prevent further changes. So changing your closing date on the company files, and then sending the financial statement, right? Sending that package. Now, all of these this is the default template, right? If I want to make a copy, I can do that. It'll create the copy of that, and now I've got the ability to add my own custom tasks, right?
Oh,
And I
wow.
can
That's
add
pretty
something.
cool.
I can add something to the pre-close. I can. You can't do anything in the account reconciliation because it is what it is. But I've got add or remove for the transaction review,
Wow.
right? So if you're not needing to do certain tasks, not in your scope,
I like that a
you can just
lot.
remove some of those tasks. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, can't do anything here, the final review, but then you've got your additional items where you can add additional tasks in there, right? So
Yeah, because certain
that's the
clients have other things you need to review.
exactly. And then you've got that's your templates, and then in your preferences, you have the close assignees, right? So this is you have three options with assignees, and that can be preparer, reviewer, or approver. And so when you're creating this template, or creating or onboarding your books close clients, that's where you're going to assign who needs to do what, right? And so maybe you've got a teammate who all they do is just do the transaction review piece of it, and then you have other people go in and actually do the financial reports and looking at the
Yeah.
reports before you sending them, right? So you're going to be able to create at least up to 3 assignees for the books review, and then you have closed status, which right now you have 5 stati. Is it statuses? What is the plural of status? To do, in progress, waiting on client, blocked, or completed, right? So, and you can go in and change the terms that are in here, with the exception of to do and completed, right? And you can
Mm.
resort and
Okay.
add your own if you wanted to. So
That is
that's
pretty
just the
cool. Yeah.
settings, right?
Yeah.
So once you have onboarded a client, Then you have your client filter. So if you have a huge list of books closed clients, you can search for specific clients if you wanted to, the period, who it's assigned to, and then whatever that status might be. But you can see here I have two that are just listed here. The period is listed of when that book's close was done, when it's due, who is the preparer, who's the reviewer, and who's the approver, and that status, of where it is in the status and how many of the tasks are completed. Right. So what we have found is that we can't remove a client from books reviews. So that is something that I'm going to need to double check after the workshop here, because I'm not seeing anywhere on this screen to be able to do that.
Yeah,
But
and
let's
maybe
go
they're
in
locked into it forever and ever. You know what I was
now.
gonna say is the one thing that I really like about this is
Mhm.
sometimes I, forget that I'm, been doing this for a while now and I have a team and I get wrapped up in what the team is doing and I don't want to change anything because of that, because that becomes the thing. It's really hard to change things once, people have things in motion. But when I first started, I mean, even though I had an accounting background, I didn't exactly know all of the things that I needed to be doing as part of the monthly close as a bookkeeper, because
Mhm.
when I worked as a staff accountant, I was only assigned to like part of the close, right? I wasn't
Right.
doing everything on the financial statement. So in the beginning, I would sometimes I would think to myself, wait, am I doing everything? And I wish there was like a comprehensive list that I could find to make sure that, I was checking every little thing. So for
Right.
folks that might be newer coming into bookkeeping and, maybe they've had some training, but they still, or even, some formal accounting and bookkeeping education, but they still aren't entirely sure, kind of maybe as a solopreneur or maybe kind of getting started with a business, this is really actually a great resource for
Right.
them to make sure they're
Yeah.
doing it all right.
Yeah. And then keeping in mind that, not you who have been doing this for a while, but, new to QuickBooks Online space, new to being a virtual accountant, coming in here and seeing
Yeah.
this, like, oh, well, someone has created this. Because to your
Yeah. It's
point,
really nice.
books review books review is kind of hidden, right? Like if you don't know
And
where to find it when you're in your
yeah.
client as an accountant, right? There's a lot of things that the discovery of that feature, and more importantly, knowing that there's an option for review and setup to be a
Yeah.
drop down on the on the books review is a challenge, right? So we may need to,
I'm
again,
glad that
have a
I'm
side by
glad that
side.
they
But
have this
so
now
look here.
because sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. That's good. So now I've gone into a book's close, right? And now I've got some information in here based off of that particular template and that client, right? So my account reconciliations is 0 out of 22, right? So here's all of his the bank accounts, and it will have a column for how recently it's been reconciled through, right? So uh, Rachel, you with all of your clearing accounts that you have to that you have to reconcile, and line of credits and those types of things. You can see all of them in one place. And okay, so let's just see here, right? So here's this. If I hit view reconcile, I have not left QuickBooks, or
Oh
sorry,
yeah, you're right.
I have
You're
not
right,
left
Dan.
Intuit Enterprise Suite,
Well, I didn't think that you were
right? And
lying.
no, I didn't. I didn't think you thought I was lying. But here you are inside of Intuit Enterprise Suite. It's not on its another tab. It didn't
Yeah,
take me into
that's a
their
really
books. It,
that's a really nice thing because I mean, even if maybe somebody that's newer, maybe if even if you have more than one client, and you've probably
Yeah,
already learned that you can't tab back and forth between different clients. And so that can
exactly.
get very old very quickly. It's a lot of
Mhm.
clicking around and it's aggravating. So this is very good. It's a good thing.
All right. So here's transactions without class or location. There's 266. I can now expand these. I can select multiple ones. I can edit them right from here. Whoops.
Mm,
Well, and this is saying that journal entry, bill payment, check, and transactions aren't supported by bulk edit. So all of these being journal
really?
entries, not gonna be helpful, right? um, but if I do one, I can edit it. I can add my request more information from my client right here. I don't have to go into the transaction to ask that question. I can attach a file, um, and when you add more information in here, put something in, add to the list for more information. That's going to be up here at the top where you have requests, right here at the top of the books close. So again, you're not needing to go anywhere to find the information, get a statement, get a file, whatever it is that you have to find yourself navigating around,
No.
outside of QuickBooks or inside of the client, right? So it's all in one place, or at least that is the intention, is that you don't have to go bouncing around, in different applications or different windows. You're all in one place. Um, and as we see though, right? If we're going to run up against, uh, butting heads or something, right? um, we may have it's a place to put in feedback into these tools to make sure that you know you're getting the most out of it, because we're in the point where they have just kicked, um, they've kicked Bill.com out of QuickBooks Online. So this is going to take some time, to get to that ideal state of all of those things. So now, you know, provide the feedback, let them know, hey, this didn't work as we had hoped, or if you come across those things. But that is the intention and the goal of the books close, is to ultimately have a one place for each client to be able to go in, and then you as a firm owner can go in and see the overview and see how on track you are for those deliverables that you've established with your clients, right? And
Yeah, it's
you'll be
great.
able to
It's
see
but it's a
who's working on what.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's really the most important part of what we do.
Now, as
I'm very
somebody who
curious to
has
know
used,
how I'm very curious to know if Right Tool
Yep.
is going to update some of the stuff to see and work in this view.
yeah, that's a good question for Mark or
Yeah.
Hector. I'm sure that they are busily trying to figure out,
Yep.
how to, because that's all the things, or that's their intention, is to be able to save precious seconds
Yep.
of extra clicking,
Yeah.
and they may be augmenting, you know those shortfalls of what they see in the Intuit Accountant Suite, until Intuit adds them to Intuit
Mhm.
Accountant Suite, right? Because for
Yeah.
their, in their regard, if you have Keeper or Double or some other, books close tool that
Zenit
you're
is
using
another
to work
one
with your
of what it is.
clients, Zenit, um, Right Tool isn't going to help. Isn't going to help with that,
Yeah.
because they're not going to create, Chrome extensions for all of those
Right.
utilities, right? So they're
Right.
focused on that. So I'm sure they are enhancing their pro level version of Right Tool, with some of these features, and augmenting them for the shallow end of the pool, for these terminologies and features with with that. So that is Books Close in a nutshell, right? We didn't really go into books review, but if you go into books review, you can kind of compare, and I think that's a good blog article of what's the difference between books review and books close that I might be working on between now and next week when we talk about client insights, which is another feature, but that's on the Accelerate platform.
Cool.
So, initial thoughts, Rachel, because this is kind of a blind reaction
well,
to you.
I think that as far as getting all the things needed for Books Close, they definitely nailed it. They did a very good job. And if I wasn't using something else, I would instantly use that.
Yeah.
And I think for new people coming in to IAS, I think it's great. And I think the price is right too. So I think that I encourage people to use it.
Now, coming from someone who uses something else and stacking this up against that, I know it's probably, we just kind of glossed over some of these features, and, the devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
But what do you see as like an advantage of using something like Double over something like this at this point in your
something like Double you can, and then I have to go because we're right at the hour, but something like Double is great because you can batch change anything you want, large amount.
Got it.
And change it in Excel, like it looks like Excel, and you can just change it and updates QuickBooks immediately. So I don't know if you can update the transaction from that, or even maybe do that like in bulk, but that's where something like Double can really come in handy.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do is we'll have a Double versus Books Close and kind of see if it does well or doesn't stack up. So
we can have Jamie.
Appreciate you joining.
I was just gonna say maybe we can have Jamie join in and put her teeth because she's the expert user.
She's the Double user.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we'll see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday, and the next time we're going to be talking about the client insights in the Accelerate version of IAS. Have a great week, everyone.